Welcome everybody. As you guys know, December pack sales are ongoing right now. A lot of the packs are 50% off. Now in this video, we're going to be going over all the aircraft. We're not going to be talking about tanks or ships because I'm just not knowledgeable in those areas of the game. So let's get straight into it. One more thing guys is there will be timestamps in the timeline below. So if you want to skip to certain parts of the video, feel free to do so. Now, first plane is the MiG-21 Bison. The British tech tree used to be pretty bad to grind before. You had a lot of planes and you had nothing to really grind for. But now with the Eurofighter and upcoming planes in the future updates, the 21 Bison is a pretty worthwhile choice to pick. Now, I will say one thing about this plane is it is not the greatest in flight performance. You're at 12.3, a pretty high battle rating. Having a MiG-21 platform or flight performance at that battle rating will be a little bit challenging to compete. Now, you do get some pretty great missiles. R-73s are pretty strong. However, the only thing is you only get 4 of them, so you are a little bit limited in kill potential. But overall, if you are experienced at the game, I would recommend getting the 21 Bison over the F4J UK because this is simply just a more fun plane to play in my opinion. Now, skipping the Challenger 2, we have the SC-25K. Now, the SC-25K is a pretty interesting plane. Would I say do not buy this plane? Not entirely. My straightforward answer is no, but however, if you just want to be brain dead and grind the game, you have a pretty good option here. This plane is relatively consistent. If you get down here, so you can get basically 2 free kills a game. And hitting bases may be challenging, but you still can. And because it is not too bad in flight performance, you are not necessarily the freest kill like an A-10. But really, there are better options to play besides the SC-25K. And while this plane might have pretty great rewards, there is just better competition out there. You have the MiG-23 which I will be talking about later. And overall, the SC-25K just isn't the greatest in terms of consistency. Now, next plane is the Tornado IDS. Now, the Tornado IDS, I feel like gets a lot of hate, and I get it. This plane is a pretty bad plane. The Tornadoes overall are just really terrible in flight performance. But the thing is, if you just want to be completely brain dead and just grind the game, this is the plane for you. You just want to fly straight into your average ARB game, hit that base, go back to base and repeat. Go for it. I do not recommend this kind of gameplay. I could have yapped for 20 minutes about how you shouldn't bomb War Thunder. But if you really want to play this plane, I can't really stop you. The sales are going on right now, so if you want to pick something up, if you want to just be brain dead and grind the game, you can definitely pick this plane up. But if you want to have fun, if you care about your own sanity, I do not recommend you playing the Tornado IDS. You can carry bombs, you have a lot of them, but overall, you're not going to have fun in this plane. Prepare to die a lot. Next plane is the A-10 Thunderbolt. Now, this plane was actually not even on the market for a long time, so being on sale right now, it is one of your chances to pick this plane up. But really, the A-10 just in War Thunder isn't the greatest. Now, I see a lot of times when I do mess around with the A-10 every once in a while, I can pick up some pretty high kill games. But really, when it comes down to killing people in the A-10, it's all about your opponents being dumb. Yeah, you get the occasional A-line L kill on the flawless planes, but really, when it comes to killing people with a gun, it's just people committing in the head-on, people getting too close to you, or just you having insane aim, because the A-10 gun is very strong and very easy to aim. Overall, though, the A-10 isn't very consistent. I wouldn't recommend buying this plane if you want to grind out the tech tree. It is not the greatest at grinding RP and SL, and you will die a lot, and obviously your flight performance is not up there. You're way too slow to get to the battle, and this just isn't a very solid pick if you want to grind out the US tech tree. Now, MiG-23 ML is a very strong plane in ARB, and it is probably the best option if you want to grind out the Russian tech tree. The Russian tech tree right now is pretty worth grinding, and the ML is a really fun plane to play. You have the super high Russian win rates, and you also have a very good missile kit. One of the main selling points of this plane is its R-24s. Now, you have 2 R-24s, the R-24Rs and the R-24Ts. The R-24Rs are my recommended missile. If you shoot these missiles off, you will basically get a guaranteed 2 kills a game. One more thing about this plane is it is at a battle rating of 11.7. Most radar missile carrying planes are 12.0 and above, like the F4S. Being at 11.7, prepare to see a lot of full down tiers. The sales are going on right now, so a lot of planes are being sold out, so you may see less, or you may see more depending on what is bought more often. But this plane is generally a very strong plane, very consistent, and fun to fly. Just keep in mind it has gotten nerfed a little bit in the past 6 months to flight performance and radar, but it is still very strong in ARB. Next plane, F1C. Now, the French sector used to be really bad to grind. you didn't have anything to grind for, but now you have the Mirage 2000s, you have the Raphael. I definitely recommend getting the F1C if you want to grind France. This plane used to be really, really bad, but now it is definitely very strong. You have a decent enough flight performance, you are pretty fast, and you have a ton of countermeasures. The only real problem about this plane is you don't have that many great missiles. You have Magic 2s, and you have 2 of them. If you launch them off correctly, that's 2 free kills a game. But your other missiles just aren't really it. But still, I would recommend this plane. It's pretty fun plane to fly, and it is consistent. Now, next plane, A-10A Tiger Shark. And in my opinion, you have 2 or 3 choices if you want to grind out the US Tech Tree in premiums. You have the F20, the F5, or the F4S. Now, me personally, it's personal preference, but I would just say don't buy the F20 Tiger Shark. Buy one of the F5C or the F4S. The reason is the F20 Tiger Shark has an F5 flight performance at 12.3. That is a pretty high BR. You're going to be going up against MiG-29s, F-16s, F-14s, and you just can't compete. Yeah, you got an F-18 engine, you are really fast, but when it comes down to being consistent at that BR and only having 5 or 6 missiles, it really isn't great. And I think you're going to suffer a lot in this plane. You will die quite often, and I think the F-20A just isn't a very beginner-friendly plane along with a super high BR, and this is also quite expensive. So I would not recommend buying this if you're a beginner. If you're experienced, it is personal preference, but still, there are better picks when it comes to the US Tech Tree. And that brings us to our next plane, the MiG-21 Bison. This is a German plane, so if you want to grind out Germany, this is probably my #1 pick for those who are out there to have fun, for experienced players. The 21 Bison is a pretty strong plane right now. And in today's ARB environment, being at 11.0, this plane is definitely super strong. Our 60Ms, as you guys know, are not super flare resistant. They don't have the best range. But at 11.0, having 6 missiles is definitely good enough, and you can pick up quite a lot of kills. Flight performance also is very strong. So this is a pretty good plane. I would recommend this if you want to grind out Germany, especially having the Eurofighters now in the Tech Tree. It is a lot more worth grinding. Next plane, J7D. Now the J7D is a very good way to spend your money this sale. Along with the fact that the J7D has gotten buffed in battle rating, you also have a very strong plane to grind out a good Tech Tree with. China has gotten a lot of great planes in the past few updates, like the J10s and also the Mirage 2000s. You have a pretty fast grind through the Tech Tree, and this plane has very good missiles and very good flight performance for a 10.7 plane. And if you do want to fly out some pretty strong planes, I definitely recommend to fly the J7D, because this plane will not only be fun, but also consistent in the grind. Now is a good time to pick this thing up if you want to grind out China. Next plane is the F5C, and in my opinion, the F5C is the greatest War Thunder top tier premium you could ever buy. Now, a lot of people will dispute this. They'll say, at the F4S, the MiG-23ML, and I give you credit for whatever you guys say, but in my opinion, the F5C is the go-to plane to grind out the US Tech Tree. This is because this plane is not only nimble, it's maneuverable, it is also super beginner friendly. You have one insanely good guns. Well, they're not insanely good, but they are very decent at least. Your guns have a lot of ammo, they're easy to aim, and it is definitely very good to get kills with. This plane is a gunfighter, which means that your missiles aren't the best. You have inline E's, they don't pull the best, but you can definitely make them work. Now, at 10.7 battle rating, you will see 11.3 games quite often, but you definitely can keep up with your amazing flight performance, your energy retention, and your overall consistency really helps you grind out the US Tech Tree. This is, in my opinion, one of the most fun planes you can play in ARB. You are almost uncontested in flight performance, and it is definitely a good plane. Even though it is on sale right now, I would definitely recommend buying the F5C to grind out America. Next plane, the Kfir Canard. Now, the Kfir Canard is also a very strong plane to play. This plane is battle rating 11.3, so you are pretty high in battle rating, but you do have some pretty strong missiles. You have the AIM-9Gs, which have a lot of range. You get 2 of them, but they definitely work. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this plane is that you are grinding out Israel with it. As of right now, Israel isn't really too worth grinding. If you just want to grind out a small Tech Tree really fast, sure. But really, if you have America grinded out, there's no reason to play Israel. You just get a bunch of F-15s and F-16s you already have in other Tech Trees. But nonetheless, this is a great plane to fly. And in my opinion, the Kfirs are some of the best Delta planes in the game. Now, let's go on to the second page of sales. We have the AMX A1. Right now, Italy has basically only one top tier option to grind this Tech Tree out with. That's the AMX. And in my opinion, Italy is not a bad Tech Tree to grind. You have a lot of planes in there. If you look at the Tech Tree, you see we have American planes, Russian planes. We have basically a little bit of everything. And in my opinion, the AMX, though, is not the greatest. You're at a high BR of 11.3, and you have the flight performance of a 9.0 plane. Sure, you get some pretty good missiles, I guess. They're piranhas. They pull 45 Gs, but they take way too long to get up to the ample pulling speed, which means when you shoot the missile off, it takes around half a second for the missile to start pulling, and by the time it starts pulling, your opponent will already be out of the missile's range. So in my opinion, this plane isn't the greatest at grinding. You're not that consistent, and you're very, very slow, being at 11.3 and being basically a subsonic. So even though it is on sale, I don't recommend picking it up. Next plane, we have the P-16. This plane is just a worse hunter. Now, if you guys want to buy anything in this sale, the one thing I would not recommend buying is the P-16. This plane is just a worse hunter. There's nothing going about this plane. The Hunter F1 right now already isn't in the best situation. It should be 8.7, but it is 9.0, and you give this plane 2 massive fuel tanks on the wings and weaken it in flight performance overall. It's just not too great. This is definitely a plane you shouldn't pick up. It's not going to be best for grinding. It's not going to be the best for basically doing anything, and I definitely wouldn't recommend buying this plane. Now we have the A5C. Now, A5C is a rank 6 Chinese premium, but in my opinion, if you're going to grind out China, just buy the J7D. There is absolutely no reason to buy the A5C right now. The A5C and the J7D are at 10.7. Both of them are at 10.7. You have a MiG-21 and a MiG-19 at 10.7. One of them has 4 missiles, one of them has 2 missiles. One of them has good missiles, one of them has mid missiles. Why would you buy the A5C? There is no reason to buy the A5C. It is in no stretch of the imagination better than the J7D. Not a single bit of the A5C is actually going to be superior. So I see no reason why you want to buy this plane for ARB. So I do not recommend buying the A5C over the J7D. Just buy the J7D instead. It's a lot more worth for grinding and consistency. Now the next pack, and the last, or one of the last packs, is the Mustang pack. Now this plane gives you the P-51 D20 Mustang, and for those prop pilots out there, I would not recommend buying the P-51 D20. It is actually the worst P-51 D variant, and this plane just has nothing going for it, really. There's not much to say about this. If you want to buy props, sure, but really this is not the plane to go for. The D20s are not as strong as any of the other P-51s, and I just don't recommend buying this. Sure, it's cheap, $15, but just don't pull your money into this game when you don't need to. Now the next plane, and the last plane of the sale, is going to be the Spitfire pack. This is for Israel, and the Spitfires are, of course, very, very strong planes. But in my opinion, if you want to grind out Israel, if you're just looking for a good grind, don't buy this plane. I mean, it's pretty logical. This plane can only research up to rank 6, and after that, you get huge research penalties. So in my opinion, if you just want to grind out Israel, buy the Kfir instead. But if you want to have fun, this is definitely a good plane, and by all means, go for it. $15 for a Spitfire is definitely very good. And now I'm not too knowledgeable about the Spitfires, but this is definitely a very strong plane if you want to have fun and grind the game. Now, that basically wraps up the video. Those are all the planes that are going to be on sale this December 2024 sales. Now, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and everyone, have a good one.